have no other personality than the director of the Department of Petroleum Resources coming to talk to us, share his mindset with us on a topical issue that is of interest to every Nape member and the oil and gas world in general. I'm going to just let you know what Nape has been doing since the extraordinary events of COVID-19 impacted our world, our industry, and our homes. We are really living in extraordinary times. You must all agree with me. And Nape has chosen to respond by looking for extraordinary ways to do the things that we do and to ensure that we do them even better than in normal situations. So we've taken most of our activities to the online portal. We've had a series of webinars. Actually, today is webinar series number 4. Welcome. And like our technical meetings have gone online as well. We started that in June. We're going to be having the second in the series a week from today. And we realize that technology is here for us. We are going to make the best possible use of the technology that is available. Also, a little bit about our conference coming up in November. I've received a lot of calls about whether the conference would hold or will not hold. I assure you that the conference will hold, and we plan it to be a virtual conference. There are all kinds of activities, including field trips, field work, and everything, technical papers, and the social events. We have the technology, and we have the ability to deploy those technologies to our advantage. So please stay tuned to further news. Also, following up on today's discussion on marginal fields, I'm pleased to inform you all that Nape has put up a masterclass for anyone who has any interest whatsoever in participating in these marginal field rounds. We have a masterclass series starting on the 16th of July for 2 days. And for Nape members, it's 80,000 naira. For non-Nape members, it's 100,000 naira. I assure you that going through that training will equip you all to do what you need to do. Now, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today. He is Engineer Sarki Auwalu, and he was born a few years ago, and he's a holder of BSc Chemical Engineering from the famous ABU. He received that bachelor's degree in 1989, and he went on to do a postgraduate diploma in management from Bayero University, Kano in 1993. So he's prepared both on the technical front and on the managerial front. His work experience spanned the public service. Right after youth service, he worked for the Kano State government in many capacities, which prepared him really for the task he has at hand right now. He actually did a stint doing business development type works, doing environmental planning type works, even working with an organ of the United Nations managing affairs. And he came to DPR in 1998. So altogether, he has over 30 years cumulative work experience serving Nigeria. And of course, the passion, the enthusiasm, the technology, the know-how that he has exhibited as character traits, he brings into play as a director of the DPR. And throughout his career in DPR, he works in so many divisions, so he really understands the depth and the breadth of what it takes to head the DPR. Mr. Auwalu has so many certifications and memberships. He's a member of COREN. He's a member of MNSE. He's a member of SPE. And he's also a member of the UK Institute of Chemical Engineers. You can see that Mr. Auwalu comes well kitted to the role that he's playing in the nation right now. Please join me to give a warm welcome, a warm Nape welcome to Mr. Auwalu. Over to you, Latif.
Thank you very, very much. As usual, my great president-elect. Do have a good morning, ma. It's my privilege and honor to have Auwalu, the DPR director, to join us. Can you hear us, sir? Okay.
I can hear you.
Excellent, excellent. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Welcome to the show.
Everyone. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everybody.
All right, sir. So before we go ahead with the program, because of the nature of this event, it's also a small honor with significant implications to also invite another fellow of Nape, Mr. Tony Akiosho, who is not only a well-known geologist, but also a journalist. So it's a marriage between the two. And we felt that we needed someone of this caliber to also moderate the conversations of the event. So I don't know whether Mr. Tony is there and he can hear us. Can you hear us, sir? Okay. I think your mic is still muted. Can you hear us, sir?
Oh, good morning, all. It's a significant privilege, big honor to be here on behalf of Nape, to have this significant conversation with the head of the regulatory agency.
Okay, thank you, sir. So back to our participants before I excuse myself. Please, I need to reiterate the rules. The conversation with the DPR director is very straightforward. He's going to share with us some insights through a presentation. Where it will dive into certain aspects around the marginal field, which is the day. Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, the director and CEO DPR will share with us a presentation, and after that, we'll take question and answers. I would like to share the rules again. Please, no videos. Please, no videos. Please switch off your videos. For the question and answer session, kindly state your name, your location, and make your question as brief as possible. You can ask questions on Zoom, you can ask questions on Facebook, you can ask questions on YouTube. Again, thank you for participating. I hand it over back to my able senior colleague, Mr. Tony Akiosho, to continue with the moderation. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, all again. You very much welcome, Engineer Auwalu. We want to take off by having you make a presentation of some of the things you want to show us about DPR, what it's about, and what the regulatory agency update is now. After which, and I hope that you can make that happen in just, at the most 10 minutes, after which we can then dive into questions on this current marginal field round, for which a whole lot of people are interested to participate. Over to you, Engineer Auwalu.
Okay, Tony. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. The presentation definitely is more than 10 minutes. It's around 14, 15 minutes. And I think the question and answers, 15 minutes will be okay, or if not. So let me see if I can share the slides now. So I'm disabled of sharing my slides, so I need to be enabled so that I can share the slide for everybody to see.
I would imagine that Nape
It's
has.
done, it's done already, sir. You can share now.
Okay, let me try again. Aha. Aha. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. I would like to thank the president-elect and the immediate past president and everybody in Nape for this wonderful opportunity for us to have this discussion. And I do believe that this is very timely, and that is why Nape is Nape, because this is one of the industry premier association and organization. And this is an organization that is always creating a difference and making uh, positive contribution towards Nigerian oil and gas development. So no one can ever say that NAPE is a force that cannot be reckoned with. Actually, NAPE is the industry, and the industry is NAPE. So I'm happy and I'm privileged to be part of this. And as we rewrite the history of our nation, NAPE is always there when it comes to oil and gas. So I thank NAPE and everybody here present for keying it to this all-important event. So the topic is on the Nigerian marginal field bid round, implication, challenges, and opportunity. So there you can see that I just wrote the challenges in small, and implication and opportunities is a little bit bolder when you look at the first slide. And the presentation, I have just 5 areas to go through. That is the DPR and NAPE, and the operatorship program for marginal field, the status, as well as implication opportunities, then our key thoughts. So, NAPE always said that our ideas finds oil and gas, and I put and more. When you look at DPR, G&G is core to DPR regulatory mandate. Conservation of oil and gas resource is also there, and the Association of Petroleum Geologists and related disciplines, which NAPE really anchor, promote the study and practice of petroleum geoscience. So you look, is something that is intertwined between the department and NAPE. As we ensure sustainable development of Nigerian oil and gas resources, NAPE ensure benefits for members and other key stakeholders. So this I call our ideas find oil and gas and more. So this is, I see this is a very good relationship and marriage between NAPE and the DPR. Now, look at our national aspiration for the oil and gas sector. And these actually are the drivers for the marginal field development. When you look at upstream, you see that we aspire to have 40 billion barrels. We aspire to grow our reserve of gas to about 210 TCF by 2030. Remember, we put a target for 200 TCF by 2020. We achieved that by 2019. And we want to get our capacity to produce up to 3 million barrels. In the midstream, we want to monetize the gas. We want to eliminate routine flaring. And as well, the domestic gas supply sufficiency, we want to ensure it through power generation, commercial activities in terms of gas-based industries, and also, increase the crude refining capacity. And for the downstream, we want to achieve price freedom. We want optimum product, and also we want product supply sufficiency, that is alternative fuels in terms of CNG, LPG, and other related fuels. So these mainly are drivers for the marginal field development. So what is this? How do we define marginal field? How do we define this? So technically, a marginal field is any field that has reserve booked and reported annually to the DPR and has remained unproduced for a period of over 10 years. And these fields not considered by a license holder for development because of assumed marginal economics under prevailing condition, fields that have had an exploratory well drill and on the structure are reported as oil or gas for more than 10 years. Fields that present leaseholders consider for farm out due to portfolio rationalization. So such field, which the president may from time to time identify as marginal based on his constitutional right and provision of Petroleum Act. So these some of the definition of marginal field. So legally, there are acts, there are regulations, there are guidelines. In the Petroleum Act of 1969 as amended by Decree 23 in 1996, this definition was really expatiated, and Marginal Field Operation Fiscal Regime Regulation of 2005 also bring more light on this issue. Then the recent guideline that was published, upgraded and published, that is guidelines for the award and operations of marginal field by 2020 and explanatory notes. That really give further regulatory framework. And the guiding provisions is that the President of Nigeria can exercise powers under paragraph 17 of fiscal schedule of the Petroleum Act to cause for farm out a marginal field. And a holder on OML may farm out marginal fields subject to terms and conditions approved by President. And again, President reserves the right to give or withhold consent of farm out of marginal field. And again, marginal field means any field that the President may from time to time identify as such. And as well, government, that is the federal government, reserves the right to withdraw award should any awardee fail to comply with applicable terms. So these form regulatory framework of marginal field. So what is the objective of marginal field program? So the entire objective of marginal field program actually is a win-win value proposition for government, for Nigerians, for Nigerian investors, and for foreign investors. So it's a multifarious range of objectives that are there to really achieve through development of marginal field. And principally, the indigenous participation is being promoted. And when that happens, employment will be generated, production will be increased, technical capacity will be built, oil and gas reserve will be increased, capital inflow will be encouraged, and synergy and coming together will be promoted. So generally, this is the objective of the program. Then where are we coming from? That is the roadmap of marginal field awards. Remember, in 1999, there were 2 marginal fields identified based on what I described earlier. 2003, 2004, 24 marginal fields. 2006, 1 field. 2007, another one. 2010, 2 fields. Then 2020, we have 57. So this roadmap, it shows that it is actually increasing, as the exploration and production in the country is really getting bigger and bigger. So let's really go deep into the marginal field, the dashboard of the performance, because we have this, and now we can say we have experience on this marginal field. Looking at this dashboard, you see that currently 16 fields are producing, and this field contribute 2% to the national oil and gas reserve. And There is an increase of 75% and 100% in oil and gas reserve respectively. And the oil production potential is from 800 to about 16,000 barrels per day. The gas processing capacity is around 400 million scf, and domestic refining capacity, exceeded 6,000 barrels. So this actually is a good yardstick, and we can see that yes, this thing is actually working. So let us really go deep into this, a snapshot of the performance again. When you look at the right-hand side, you see that the oil reserve, the marginal field contributed 2% addition. And the gas is around 1.6, 1.7, so 2% contribution again. Then the oil reserve here is the oil production, it really goes to about 75% in the marginal field itself. Then the gas also, because it was about 1.6 addition, now it is around 3.2, which is like 100% increase in the reserve. So it shows that there is really an increase and there is positive performance. So, but looking at this, when you compare to the big guys, you see that we are still marginal. The piece of the pie is small when you look at it, it's really small. And you see that it's only 3% and 3% the marginal field. It's just, when you look at it, the taller green line and blue lines, you can't compare the marginal with the indigenous operators as well as other producers that are really in the big chart. But we are growing. So this is a picture from 2004 till present. So do we achieve anything? Yes, of course. We've already achieved reserve and production growth. We achieve impact in Nigerian content. We also achieve domestic energy security by increase in the domestic refining, energy production, that is power production. Then we also have some increase in inflow for government, because once activity is there, taxes are there, employment are there, economy is actually doing well. And CSR, the corporate social responsibility and community engagement, this really has really made a lot of difference with the marginal operators. So going forward again, the synopsis of this 2020 marginal field bid round. I've already mentioned the objective very clearly, but for this year's 2020, we want to deepen the participation of Nigerian indigenous companies in the upstream segment. We want to create opportunity for technical and financial partnership for investors. The key principle is indigenous participation. We want to grow reserve and optimize potential for these assets. And we want to create wealth and generate revenue for all interested stakeholders. The investors will want to grow their wealth. Government will want to guarantee citizens of employment and the rest. But the resource, we want to attract credible investors, technical and financial capability, because this has been demonstrated before. And the structure of the bid round is electronic-based bidding process, which we believe it makes it easy. Despite the current situation, we are able to really have this lead that we are on. Now, the bid round. When you look at it, you see that there are 4 bubbles. I call them these 4 critical bubbles. And we have 4 critical post-award conditions. The first bubble is these 4 critical bubbles. We want to ensure sustainability of the marginal field program. And for this, the program to be sustainable, first, as we commence, we make it robust and a credible process. And we want to assure production is really within the time frame. And there's a consequence for not really meeting up with the condition. That is taking it off the hand of who really leave it without doing anything. And post-award, there are 4 conditions. 1, the transfer of interest post-award, awardee cannot assign more than 49% interest to another party post-award. Again, in case of joint award, the minister may reserve the right to cancel, withdraw, cancel/withdraw the interest of party or parties whose failure to meet their obligation results in the awardees being unable to progress work on the field. This is a lesson we learn. And protection of partnership. Again, the minister reserves the right to void an award if the activities of parties post-award are aimed at frustrating the basis of the award, as evidence in the technical/commercial service agreement submitted in the support of the bid. That also protect partnership that will really emerge, in the process. Dispute resolution. This is also a condition post-award, that all operations and commercial disagreement arising from among awardees or between awardees and their partners post-award shall first be referred to the Nigerian Oil and Gas Alternative Dispute Resolution Center, which the federal government graciously allowed DPR to establish, at least to minimize litigation and ensure smooth running of the industry. So, the award process. Evidently, we have about 9 steps. Step 1, we are on step 1 now. That is registration and pre-qualification. What we are looking out is evidence of company's existence, then capability to pay applicable premium, capacity of company to really meet up with a good content plan for Nigeria, then participation of host community/state, that is ability for you to integrate people from within the resource exist. Then the company must be an E&P company with at least federal character representation in the shareholding or in the management or both. Then evidence of technical and managerial capability. Then eligibility to participate, like record of indebtedness to government, and freeness to friendliness to financial organization because of insolvency of companies and the rest. So those are the kind of things that we are going to be looking at during the evaluation. So what is the implication of marginal field development? I have like 6 or 7, which I will take you through. First, we are looking at low risk of development, because marginal field are usually discovered field with significantly reduced risk of development. Early time to production, within 1.5 to 2 years time frame possible. Then low investment costs, we believe within 50 to 100 million as compared with major capital projects. Then ownership, the marginal field are owned by operators as sole risk independent of host government, and this provide for maximum returns to investors. Of course, we have a very robust fiscal terms, 2.5 to 18.5% of royalty, depending upon the production volume. We have capital tax allowance of 20% as compared to 5% of the normal field. And we have a lot of these boosters to really encourage the development. Then we also provide regulatory support. This regulatory support is to enforce, general rules and ensure that that the marginal field complied, because compliance creates value. And we want to encourage the encouragement of commonization, that is use of common facilities, optimizing the common facilities. And again, we want scale up, potential for scalability, start small and grow big. We've seen a lot that really started like that, and they have grown big within the last 18 years that we witness this marginal field thing. So, meeting the challenges. Of course, as the lesson, we have witnessed a lot of challenges. The first one is funding. We've seen that a lot of marginal field are struggling for funding. Where do we get funding? Some of the people that are funding, they feel that it is too small of investment, and they see it as risky for their portfolio. And also, we've observed corporate governance and financial stewardship for some marginal field operators. The fiscal discipline, the financial stewardship is not really there. It's a challenge for the marginal field operators. Then partnership. We see it's very hard to see, companies coming together. So it's a challenge for companies to come together as marginal field operators to have this common pool of things so that it will be shared cost. Again, security. Even the big ones, they are challenged. So the marginal field are also challenged with the security. Then we see another challenge, synergy with international oil companies and major operators. You see the smaller and marginal operator is seriously challenged by the big operator there. But we are looking at this challenge and seeing how best we can really put in to see how these challenges are being solved or alleviated or reduced to reasonably practicable level. So, what are the opportunities? Because for every challenge, it comes with opportunity. Only if you look at challenge as opportunity that you win it. So the winning strategy, we see some are using it already. The vertical integration and diversification, upstream, midstream, and downstream, power generation, gas industrial hub. This is a winning strategy. We see some of the marginal field operators are already using this. Then collaboration and synergy, cluster of contiguous field to aid synergy and collaboration among operators. That we believe is one of the winning strategy. Then appraisal of opportunities and field studies. In most cases, the marginal operators seldom do this, and we think doing this will create better model and better strategy. Community relationship, the nature and model of corporate social responsibility. Being a marginal and indigenous operators, we believe that if this is being looked at, it is going to really create a huge value. We see others use that and they succeed. Then compliance, regulatory compliance and operational excellence. If you think compliance is expensive, try non-compliance. It's more expensive. So you see, this we believe is another winning strategy. And financial stewardship, cost control and optimization, global best practice and benchmark. Most of the marginal fields operators we observe a lot. They feel, okay, it's like running like a one-man business. The owner is providing every service. So that really is not encouraged, so that you can get the best value at a really minimum and optimal cost. So this are our winning strategy. So in conclusion, the marginal field development is evolving. Significant gains are being recorded. And reserve growth, increased production, local participation, enhanced technical capability and revenues. Then we believe foreign direct investment is an opportunity for a marginal field. The employment opportunity and local content capacity with positive impact on the economy is another one. Then government will still remain focused on gains of marginal field development and continuously put measures to sustain the initiative. Then challenges are being addressed to ensure sustainable development, as we emphasize. And as a country, we invite investors to participate in the 2020 marginal field and take advantage of the opportunities therein. And I can I'm pleased to tell you that we record, an appreciable interest in the exercise that is ongoing. At least we have not less than 10 interests in every marginal field we put as the number. So we have 57. Definitely we have more than 10 per field, 10 companies per field that are interested. So this to us is a significant success. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my presentation, and I thank you so much for listening. And I'm so pleased to really stay here and take all the questions that I can take. Thank you very much.
It's not. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, I wasn't allowed. Okay. Thank you so much, Director. I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, it's actually asked quite a number of. I mean, answered quite a number of the questions that we had. So, I mean, you've provided a whole lot of perspective. You've explained, the primary reasons for the field round. I mean, for the bid round. Technical capacity, you, job opportunities, the increase in reserves, indigenous participation. You've explained quite a number of all of those things. You provided a perspective for us on what the DPR thinks is a successful, or, I mean, a marginal field operator that, has its governance properly together. You'd also given us a sense of some of the regulatory challenges that marginal field operators, go through. And you did, I mean, there's something that sticks out here. If you do not, if you think compliance is expensive, I mean, try non-compliance. There's a whole lot that you have told us, but there will still be questions. So let me start by asking you, I mean, when you say 18 to 24 months, because that's what you're expecting as early, I mean, you're expecting that sort of timeliness in terms of delivering a marginal field. But as you know, the history of Nigerian marginal field, no company has delivered first oil in 24 months. I'd like to find out what, to start with, what you think, is a magic to that. That's the first question. What do you, when we go into this bid round, and you mentioned 57 fields, those 57 fields, 11 of them are those fields that were revoked. And that's a little bit of a challenge itself. If Tony Akinsho and Co. wins a marginal field that is one of those revoked, do I not expose myself to litigation? Because if you remove those 11, it comes to 46. That's my understanding of those figures. So about 600 companies have applied now from your analysis, and quite I mean about 10 or so of them are focused on fields that are revoked. That's a little, sorry, about 110 of them are focused on fields that are revoked. Those are people who are going to be challenged in court or who are liable to be challenged in court. Okay, so let me give you an opportunity to respond to these two questions before we continue.
Okay, thank you, Toyin. Toyin, I will first take the second question, and let me make it very loud and clear. This 57 does not include any field that is under litigation. The 57 does not include the 11 that are revoked.
Okay.
I want you to put it in your record. None of the 11 fields are involved. The 57 are 57. All the 11 fields that are in court, they are not part of this exercise. So that's answered your second question.
Okay.
And the first question, where you want to see the magic in which the fields can come on stream within 1.5 to 2 years. There is no magic to it. We only learn lesson. We've seen how others develop over 18 years. Remember, we already put marginal field on offer in 2003. Already we know 16 are producing. We know how this marginal field produce. We have record of how they do it. And we want to latch on that lesson to help newcomers or whoever is successful. And that is why we say regulatory support. Remember, every activity that happens in the industry, DPR has record of that activity, and we okay and approve that activity to happen. So we do believe we are ready to support whoever wins the award of the field in guiding the group or company or individual that are ready to really roll out their sleeves and go to work. There is no magic to it. It's just lesson. Because once you learn something, just use the lesson you learn and you move in. And we do believe that it is possible. We cannot really say that it never happened, because it do happen when you look at it. And look at what we are saying, and look at what we are saying when you come to what we want to do, what we want to put, the way the support we want to give the marginal field. The support we want to give the marginal field is the vertical integration, the aggressive work program implementation. You know, every year there is work program. We intend to do this. So it's not only come and present and go. Come present, then we will offer you advice. Do this, because we have history and we have a record of how it happened and how best it can really go. And when you go back to my presentation, the issue of shared infrastructure, we do believe that this is a key in pushing the production forward. That is common usage of facility to ensure optimal utilization of crude transportation and export. In most cases, we identify that as challenge, and we are looking at it very critically. And that is why we embark upon so many studies before even we open up the marginal field in June 1st. And we want to start small and grow big, looking at it in a way that, look, you can do this. You can actually start this. Then you can really grow. We see how others potentially really grow in that line. And that is what we want to take as advantage. Nothing more. Very simple approach and very practical approach. And we do believe that once there is money, there is investment, and the technology is there available as we witness. In 24 months, we can see something.
Now, thank you, Sarki. You did mention clearly to us, what you're looking forward to, what the Nigerian state is looking forward to in delivering these marginal fields. And I was thinking that you were going to say, well, government requires a lot of funding for its budget. But that didn't come up, in your presentation as a top. But let me ask you, I mean, let's pretend that there's nobody here, that it's just you and I speaking. Which of these will come in your ranking? Is marginal bid round a way of boosting government revenue? Is the marginal bid round aimed at building indigenous capacity? Is the marginal field round, is a focus to secure viable operators? Which I know that your presentation did include all of this, but which is it that government, let's pretend that there's no audience here, which is it that the government ranks highest in terms of what they want the marginal field program to achieve? You told us about 2% increase in reserves. You told us.
Actually, I will not pretend that there's no audience. There are audience, and I want the audience to listen. And I say, and I will say it again, the objective of government is a win-win value proposition. We are not talking about budget. Marginal field cannot fund Nigerian budget. We all know. There is no magic to it. We can't pretend. This is straightforward. We want government, Nigerians, Nigerian investors, and foreign investors to have opportunity. And this opportunity is by our side. We want to promote indigenous participation. We've seen the record we had. Look, pre-2003, do you think of any indigenous participation? Do you think of that pre-2003? In fact, pre-2000. There is a sharp difference in Nigerian oil and gas industry between pre-2000 and post-2000. And this is as a result of efforts like this. So many professionals and companies have been created. So many employments have been generated. And we witness increase in production, increase in reserve, increase in capital inflow, use of shared building capacity. So that is the objective. Simple, because there is nothing complicated in this. We have a resource. This resource is there. Nobody is touching it. So the country should take advantage of the blessing that it has. That's all. And in doing that, you give opportunity for anybody that will invest, whether it's Nigerian or foreign. You give the Nigerians in general. And again, you give government opportunity to utilize the abundance resource for the benefits of provision of investment platform. That's all. It's a win-win value proposition. There is no objective to say that we want to fund government. Government is trying to find money to fund the budget, but we all know that it cannot fund the budget. It's just something that we have to do because it's something that is very, very, very important to our industry. Because when we are talking about marginal field, we are talking to the industry experts. We are looking at, okay, what can we do to really indigenize this resource that we do have? Look at the Nigerian concession map. From all angles, the country is covered. And this coverage of Nigerian concession, it shows that there is potential for oil and gas in this country. And the only thing is, no matter what, when opportunity comes like this, avail it to Nigerians and Nigerian friends so that we will take advantage altogether.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question here. And, my own next question was to do with funding, how, participants, you did say that, in terms of if after you've won, but let's even look at before you win. Will the DPR kindly give an indication of, what will be, some kind of reserve signature bonus for each field, as we go forward before this process continues to a point where people would then be significantly surprised by what the reserve price is for each of those fields? Is it likely that you publish that, before,
You see, Torin, I like this your question. First, the process really started with requesting people to indicate their interest. And really people indicated their interest and they registered their interest, and we are pre-qualifying people that we believe they are qualified to participate. And those companies that are pre-qualified, they will be allowed to submit application to bid for a field. And those companies that are qualified, will share with them the next step, because it will be unprofessional to predetermine it now, because after all, there are participants, there are interested parties, and we are actually in the competitive position, and signature bonus will actually will be competitive and based on market reality, and we want to attract investment. So the only thing is to really allow it. It's a free market, so that we want this thing to happen. You can't just peg yourself to say, I want this. Even if the field has zero value, so be it. So that is the way we are looking at it, and I think this is fair enough for people that put interest in it. Ten, you're muted, Tony.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I mean, just before we go further, I mean, thank you for that response. Army International is a sponsor of this conversation, and Nape thanks them very much for supporting this. Now, let me ask you the next question on funding. There's a challenge on the planet as we speak, and this bid round is coming around that, I mean, in that context. And so people are likely to struggle for money. Is there anything that, the Nigerian government can put in place to make, winners access, funding for signature bonus? That's number one. And eventually, and I'm not, this is a commercial thing. It's not government doling out money. And then in terms of, since you want early production, and we're looking at, from your own figures, we're looking at 50 to, $100 million, I mean, to kick off. I mean, what are the financial instruments that government is thinking about that could assist winners of this bid round?
Okay. First, as you say, this is actually not a government business or government support of signature bonus. I'm quoting you now. But what government is doing is to provide opportunity for investors. I've been saying investors. I've been mentioning the word investors. It's a key word, you see, and I'm mentioning robust fiscal terms. So we want to attract this investment. So if you will guarantee the investment yourself as government, why don't you really bring in the investment and do it yourself? What we do is to create opportunity for the investors. And that opportunity for the investors, that is exactly what we are trying to do. Rather than guaranteeing the investment, we guarantee the investment through our service instrument. When we award you a marginal field, you have an instrument that you go and attract investment so that you can develop the field, which I've already said. And what we are saying, try to have a very good corporate governance and financial stewardship, and try to synergize while we give regulatory support as much as possible. And that is what we stand and what we are doing and what we are going to be doing. Because that, I think, is objectively fine, because if government will guarantee the investment, as well, government has its own company, which is NNPC. And we can say, look, we can get funding, you NNPC go and operate this. But we say, no, NNPC as a government-owned company, no. If you want to participate, you have your own exploration and production company, you have this, we want to open it up so that investors will take the service instrument, that is the award letter for the marginal field, and we have a very robust fiscal terms in which you will attract the investment and invest. And you know, they say only an eagle flies during the storm. So we expect that only serious investors that look far and really know the terrain that will really come. And we do believe with the interest we have, we do believe success with the will of God is on our side. That is on the issue of supporting the investment. So I don't know whether that has answered your question.
That's a very good one. Thank you. I have a question here from the public. This is from Chinedu Kina. You did say that the awardee cannot assign more than 49% interest to another party post-award. Just to clarify, is this restricted to the participating interest, or does it also cover economic interest? For example, can an awardee enter into a funding arrangement where the profit oil due to the awardee is less than
Hello, telling you are pleased. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, profits all due to the awardee. I mean, it's less than, I mean, what the company investing in it gets.
Okay.
Is that something government will worry about, or that's just as far as you're concerned? That's
okay. If I get your question right, what I said is that transfer of interest post award. I said awardee cannot assign more than 45% interest to another party post award, and we mean is participating interest, because if awardee now will assign more than that, it really defeats the objective. So it depicts the objective of indigenous participation. So that is why we said post award you can only assign up to 49% participating interest to another party post award. But all the financial arrangement that you do, that one is on your own, because we want to attract investors, we want to attract capital. And that is why the tax capital allowance is up to 20% for marginal field, which really make it robust for any person to bring in capital. You know that the normal field is 5%, but for marginal field is 20%, which is very, very attractive. Even we are mindful of other commercial construct and arrangement to attract investors. So all that arrangements that can be done, we encourage that, but participating interest should not be more than 49%.
This is another question. This is from Wasiu Dufison, a fellow of Nape. He wants for you to share with us the assurances that this bid round will follow due processes. He wants specifically to give us specific steps, actions put in place to ensure that only technical and commercially competitive companies get the blocks, instead of politicians and their allies.
You see, I like this question. That is why we put it electronic-based bidding. And in one of my slides, we have 9 steps, and we put those steps very, very clear. And those steps, we are following the steps. And remember, if the president by law has discretion, but the president does not use his discretion, here is not about politics. It's about opening up the industry, opening up opportunity for people to participate. You cannot only be technical and not attracting investment. So it's intertwined. We try our best to make sure that, there's nowhere that you will discount the element of technicalities and you can't discount the element of investment. And we have learned lesson from the past. Government revoked blocks and asset. So federal government is committed to make this thing work. We know all the OMLs that were revoked in the past. We revoked marginal fields in the past. So you see, and those fields and those OML, they are owned by huge politicians, but government revoke it and is there in public. So government is really, really serious in opening up the economy. It's not about politics. If it is about politics, the revocation would not have happened in the first instance for the OML, for the marginal field, and for all the things we are doing with respect to recovery of royalties and the rest. So truly and surely, it's actually a new look at all. We are rewriting our own history. We are trying to make sure that this and that is it. And again, this is open for all Nigerians. All Nigerians. For example, now, Toyin, you are a geologist of repute. Everybody knows you as a geologist who really serve Nigeria very well. But you are a seasoned journalist as well. So because you are a journalist, you are a geologist, you combine the two, I can't take all the combined honors from you. So if somebody can attract investment and he's a politician, he's a technocrat, so be it. So it's something that we should look at it on the basis of it, not on the basis of this is what we think. Truly and surely everybody have opportunity in this. And I believe in the process. And that is why I first thank Nape for this as a premier organization in the industry. Talking about this, for me, is a huge success for the association and for the organization as DPR.
This question is from Nchinwara. What's the gestation period allowed from first oil before you start making statutory payments to government?
Okay. Production, once a drop of oil comes from underground, the law of the land provide a first line charge as royalty. So there is no, whether it's marginal, whether it's non-marginal, the first line charge for 200 million people is royalty on production. That is there. And the taxes, when you establish a company, you agree, you promise from the Corporate Affairs Commission that you will be a law-abiding corporate citizen by paying taxes. And good enough, the petroleum profit tax for marginal field is only 55%, as against so this attractive and generous fiscal term, there is no need for somebody to even think that there is gestation period for you not to pay the first line charge, because that is where government really make money. You pay 2.5% of your production if it is 1 barrel to about 5,000 barrels. From 5,000 to 7,000 to 10,000 barrels, you pay 7.5%. From 10 to 15,000, you pay 12.5%. Then from 15 to above, up to 25, from 25,000, once you reach 25,000, you pay 18.5%. And all this is lower than the normal field. In addition to this, you have capital allowance of 20%. You have reduced petroleum profit tax. You have reduced royalty. So thinking of, we give you opportunity to do this, and you say, no, give me tax holiday, give me some gestation period. Then you didn't even do your work program right. Because once you are doing commercial work program, you know that this is your tech, this is government tech, this is the production cost, and this is how you really plan to do it. And that is what we expect. Because we believe we have tons and tons of experts in this country which are hungry to demonstrate their quality. They have done that for IOCs. They are doing it for themselves. And it's now for them to really demonstrate their quality for the nation. And that is the whole objective. As I said again, it's a win-win proposal. Thank you.
Sarki, do you have incentives for a gas, if a field that is a pure gas field, which is in the round, because the last gas field that you awarded, struggled significantly I mean, for funding, for forced gas, and, you know, even when it got to forced gas and was supplying to power plants, it wasn't being paid, you know. So, I mean, what do you, is there any mitigating, I mean, are there any mitigating issues that you're putting to a company that has either a very high GOR that basically would have to do gas development, or, you know, it's essentially all, I mean, NAG?
Okay. So this is another very fantastic question, because gas is a commodity now, and it's a targeted resource. It's no longer be looked at a waste to be taken care of. It's now a wealth to be taken care of. So for that, all the robust fiscal term that is on gas, it will be implemented. Remember, this 2020, the Honorable Minister of State called it Year of Gas. And we are pushing we incentivize the issue of gas. We launched the network, Nigerian Network Gas Transportation Code. We put in people to really operationalize the code. We bring in all the stakeholders to make sure that gas is the future energy. We have gas penetration strategy now to get into every local government in this country. And there's huge incentive. And even the gas, the 800 million scope, that is 10% of the production that we will flare. You know, we commercialize it through our Nigerian gas commercialization program. So government is focused on gas development, and we are moving and to sellers, sellers willing buyer, willing seller, willing buyer. So this particular willing seller, willing buyer, and all previous issues mitigating or militating on gas development are being addressed, because that is what the network code will address. There is willing seller, there is willing buyer, there is even virtual transmission and virtual transportation, encouraging LPG, CNG, local LNG, that is regasification. So all this effort is to encourage targeted gas development. And in fact, people that are going for gas field, they are more to even achieve it, you know, quicker than the oil, because of the prevailing now incentive for gas with the network code, with willing buyer, willing seller, with all this pricing, the 2018 gas pricing regulation, which has put in place. So it really make it now, there is huge incentive for targeting gas, especially for domestic market.
Is the signature bonus deductible against, you know, the revenue that will come in?
Well, you know how signature bonus is being managed. And when you say you are going to deduct something from revenue, then you are not paying any signature bonus. So we are trying to treat it normally, not abnormally. Normally, if you have an award and you sign an award to take either award or license, you'll be given time to pay signature bonus. And this will not be different. Time will be issued for you to pay signature bonus for the award you receive, and you go ahead with the development based on the work program you submit and based on technical submission you made. Because this one, all the submission made for the successful awardees, we will take them on it. We will see how they will implement it. And that is what really makes difference between this marginal field bid round and the previous one. That is what we are going for.
You're going to ensure they do the work. Let me quickly ask you, even though you've talked about, you know, cluster arrangements and all those facility sharing things. You know, the major challenge that marginal field operators have is all these, you know, technical losses that so-called terminal operators claim they lose. I mean, some of these things can actually kill a marginal field operator. I mean, how, and there's a sense in the industry that the DPR doesn't stand up to these majors who, who, well, in the view of marginal field operators, deduct too much, I mean, that is in excess of what they think that, I mean, there's all those,
Toyin,
I'm trying not to be on any side.
You see, if you get one of my slides, if you cast back, where I put meeting the challenges. After security, I put synergy with IOCs and major operators. This synergy with IOC and major operators, we look at it and come back to partnership. So it's the issue of maybe crude export, that is using the terminal for export, determination of BS and W, determination correct volume. So we are regulating crude oil transportation and handling charges. And DPR is fair arbitrator, as you know. So what we are trying to do is to say that, okay, we know crude handling charges is a challenge, and we're looking at it, and everybody knows that the whole industry is aware of that. We take inventory of all custody transfer points. We take inventory of how crude is dry to determine its value and volume. And because we know that is where we charge our royalty. So it is in the best interest of the government, of the IOC, and of the marginal or injector. Let me use injector here, whether it is NOC or IOC or marginal operator, or even the uptaker. So this particular challenge, we know it is a challenge, and we are facing it, and we are solving it, and we are enforcing LACT unit at every injection point, and the mass balance methodology for reconciliation also we are enforcing it. So this is more practical rather than argumentative. Okay, put a LACT unit and do a mass balance. Everybody knows that for every custody transfer point, we have a staff at every terminal that stay there 24/7 with everybody. So we do this accounting, and we are regulating crude handling now as we speak. And we are not doing it on armchair. No, we are doing it in the field, getting all the right from reconciling from production meter to custody to custody transfer meter, and the calibration of the LACT unit for accuracy, as everybody knows. And that is what we do. And we will continue to, we see it as a solution, not only for the marginal operators, even for indigenous operators. It's a big issue that we are tackling, and we cannot really see it as regulating the whole activity, knowing that there is custody transfer point, which is a fiscal custody transfer point. We have production allocation meters. We have production figures that we issue every 6 months as technical allowable. And we have to reconcile all to make sure that, all the MTS operations, that is test operator operations, all the multi-purpose meters operation, and some marginal people are even beating this by being vertically integrated. Some, they beat this. They say, okay, why can't I put a refinery, put this, put that? So there are so much that we are doing to make sure that this thing really remains in Nigeria for Nigerians by Nigerians and attracting investors for Nigeria. So this is something that we open because we want to rewrite the history. What happened before is history. We are writing another one, a brand new one that you are part of it.
Okay. This question is from Isa Inua, is a banker. And I think you've answered in a sense, but let me ask you, which is saying one of the challenges around marginal fields is the fiscal arrangement, which is considered onerous in light of capital requirements and the rather thin cash flows from the fields. Is there any effort, intent, either through regulation or the provisions of the draft PIB? He's assuming you know the provisions of the draft PIB to make the fiscals for marginal fields attractive.
Okay, first, let me re-emphasize that currently, the fiscals for marginal field is so attractive. It's very, very attractive. Compare it with the normal field, in fact, it's so attractive, even with the PPT. having to only charge 55% PPT is enough, is that. And most marginal fields that produce below 5,000 is 2.5% royalty. And with the capital allowance of 20% as against 5%, it's another robust. So we are thinking that we want to maintain that, and that is why a lot of marginal field operators stay afloat. But what we are emphasizing is corporate governance and fiscal stewardship. That we observe it as a challenge for the operators themselves, because you can see that there is no fiscal discipline for most of the operators. And that we believe, if they couple with all this robust incentive, I can see a huge success for the country and for the investors and for the operators.
All right, thank you. It's been 17 years since the last marginal field bid round. Is there a schedule now for, the way other countries work, which they will say the first licensing round 2020, the second licensing round 20? Is there some kind of schedule? And when do we expect the acreage, bidding round? And in that acreage round, is there going, of course, I imagine that there will be deep water and inland basins. When would that happen? Because we weren't even expecting this to happen at this time anyway. But now that this is happening, and we haven't passed the PIB, is it likely that we might have the acreage bidding round before the end of the year, for example?
Well, Toyin, we are putting together NAMSTRA. What is NAMSTRA? NAMSTRA is National Acreage Management Strategy. That is NAMSTRA. So the NAMSTRA strategy, that is the National Acreage Management Strategy, it will now bring about predictability in bid rounds. And this government is committed, as you can see, things will be done differently. This NAMSTRA that we are putting together, it will give an overall view of the potential of the country and also push forward, the prolific nature of our basins and how we can attract people to come into our basins. So the NAMSTRA strategy is coming, and we are putting it, and that will be open and bring this thing that you are saying: predictability, accessibility, investability, openness, transparency, and all that in the NAMSTRA. Initially, beginning of the year, towards December, there was a small workshop in how we can reduce cost of production. So what we did in DPR is to establish IOR Center, that is Improved Oil Recovery Center, where we are looking at technologies that are key to fields in which you can enhance recovery or improve recovery of the field using technology. And we want to latch on it. And we want to learn from other countries that are successful in this effort. So the NAMSTRA really bring about all this is when you have this wholesome that you bring it out and say, look, this is the National Acreage Management Strategy, whereby you can say, okay, this is in the next 2 years, we know these are coming up. And you see that all the 7 inland basins are there open. The traditional Niger Delta Basin is there. The Homer Basin is there. Deep water is there. Ultra deep is there. So how do you really bring about all this to open up the country? We have a lot of competition now. The Gulf of Guinea, we are not the only ones now. The east of Africa, there are, inland discoveries now. And even west of Africa in the hinterland, there are some, discoveries. So all that we are looking at it to bring about strategy that we can compete favorably in terms of all that I mentioned. So that is, I think, the answer to your question.
Okay. I have to ask this.
Please go ahead.
Is the DPR aware of a notice from Niger Delta groups that, number one, they have to have a for first right of first refusal, I mean, to the marginal fields before it is open. And number two, that they may proceed to court to stop the process. Does that worry you? Is that important?
Well, this is a country and of national unity, and our brothers and sisters in the Niger Delta, they are part of Nigerian history, and they are contributing immensely to the development of our country. And anything that will affect the stability of the nation and the region, they are the first people not to allow that to happen. And I do believe the Niger Delta, they are in support of every process this government is doing. And the support that government is enjoying from all the people in Niger Delta is unprecedented. And that is shown in the stability of the region. So far, everybody observed that within the last 2, 3, 4 years, there is stability. And that stability cannot happen without cooperation of the community, the youth community, the women community, the elders, and the kingdoms that there exist in that region. So the issue of first right of refusal, we have a constitution, we have a country which everybody respects, including Niger Delta. So people, they have the right to say their mind, but what is there in the law is there. And the cooperation of everybody in Nigeria towards the development of Nigeria is key to everyone, because it's only when you have peace, you give it out. If you don't have peace, you have alternative, you give it out. So I do believe so far, the cooperation and contribution being given to this government by Niger Delta is only for the government to say thank you, not only for them, but for every Nigerian. As we speak now, there is no state in Niger Delta that does not house all Nigerians. You go and find people there. They're extremely good people. Workers are there. Export is ongoing very well. Import is ongoing very well. Pipeline is there without being vandalized. Stability is there. So it's only to celebrate success in which we are doing right now. And nobody is really praying for otherwise. The country is challenged with many social and social crises. And the global crisis is there. So I do believe that under this global crisis and under the crisis we are, this is the time we come together, because the Niger Delta states, and let me tell you one thing, most of the state government in Niger Delta, they follow the process. They submitted their bid as a state government with the company following the rules. So it gives us pleasure to see that, okay, I am a state, but I am following the rules. And if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. So it shows that there is unity in this country. We are rewriting our history. The history of yesteryears is gone. We have no other country than Nigeria. If we didn't build this Nigeria, our children have nowhere to go. And I do believe Niger Delta is critical. And that is my belief.
Okay. There's a debate in the chat room as to whether the PPT is actually 55%, as you mentioned. There's an argument that that's what the DPR intends, but FIRS is not allowing that because, you know, DPR and the Ministry of Information, Petroleum, did not gazette the regulation of fiscal terms. What's the plan of DPR to ensure that this becomes effective?
And
if you don't have that information, it's all right. It's just to.
What I will tell you is that whatever we do, we are in collaboration with all government agencies that have stake in the process we are doing. The Federal Revenue, we work with them. Remember, we are members of PAC, that is Federal Allocation Committee. We are members, where we all come together every month to look at it and to discuss all this. So I think we, as an organization, we're in a premium position to really, when we mention an information, we're in premium position to say what we think is there. Since as government agencies, we meet, it's not that we are working in silos, we're working all together. But that said, we'll still go back and cross-check since there is debate. Some people, maybe they may have information, better information than DPR. But if there are specific issues, you can please bring it up. And if it's something we can really go on it.
Okay. The director, thank you so much. We're running out of time. This is 12:28. What I have here is that I wrap up at 12:20, but I'll do just about 10 more minutes so that we can get more out of you, because this is a very important meeting. So a question that I have here that is, okay, I'm not sure that is what you, just a second. What required as a percentage of the signature bonus to be paid as part of, when you're making the payment. Hello.
Hello, Toyin. You are asking what is required as percentage payment for signature bonus, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So what I am, my take here is, we are going to engage people that are successful and we will give them condition. And that condition will be made available to the successful companies.
Okay. We're going to have, I imagine that, we're going to be, you're making your slides available so that everybody who's participated here can share in the, the full slides,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we'll make it available to Nape, definitely, immediately after the.
At this point, I want to hand over to Mr. Wale Olafison, who is the Group Managing Director of AMNI, the sponsor of this event, to make a very short sponsor's remark. Mr. Olafison, please. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank you, Tony. Thank you, Pat. I'd like to thank Nape particularly for hosting this. And I'd like to thank my friend and brother, Engr Sarki. Thank you for doing justice to this topic. And I'm happy, and I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, sure, we can. I can hear you. I know that the director is hearing you.
For us as AMNI, you know where we are, who we are. We operate AMNI OMA11, we operate OMA 11 to OMA 17. We operate a JV asset, OMA 52. We are also playing in the West African space because we are the operator of the offshore central Tano block in Ghana. We're in the electricity space, and we own substantial interest in Kanji and Jaba Dam, contributing 1/3 of Nigerian energy as a Genco. Currently, we are considering playing in Angola, in Tanzania, and in Romania. We have offices in Lagos, where I'm sitting right now. We also have office in Port Harcourt. We have London, we have Houston, and we also have Accra, Ghana. We operate our assets. We have an FPSO, we have an FSO, and we operate 2 oil terminals. And I think we are one of the 2 indigenous companies that operate their terminals, and 2 for that matter, and they are all offshore. Beyond that, we have good relationship with our host communities, the Andoni people, the Eastern Obolo people, the Abuama people in River State, and we do quite a lot when it comes to CSR. But let me speak into the topic of today in 2 minutes. My director and CEO has talked about what I'll call a monumental undertaking, especially at this unprecedented time of COVID-19 pandemic. One thing I'm sure of is that our industry is resilient, our business is resilient, and I believe strongly that in this new world where we are finding new ways to connect without borders, and we're having colliding global crises, it is unprecedented that DPR is leading a bid round. Most people will ask, why now? But if not now, when? So the question comes to mind that we are redefining, like the director said, the Nigerian oil space and deep with dovetail into West African oil space. There are fundamental questions to be asked here because of what has happened in the past. I'm happy that the director has torn those apart and he has explained that to the general public. In this bid round exercise, my belief is that we're going to get a fresh perspective. Nigerians should not let the train leave them, because from what the director said, I could take away that the train will leave the bus stop very soon and everyone is asked to participate. There are risks in here, but these risks are underpinned by rewards. Our business is high risk, high reward. We produce crude oil, but we are refined gentlemen. I believe strongly that we can build and manage the bid round as Nigerians. I have seen the number the director threw up there, about 600 companies bidding for 67 fields. And that tells me that this will require rationalization of portfolio and strategic partnership. The question is, how will DPR or Nigerian government assist in managing that strategic partnership? Because we have seen partnerships in oil and gas between Nigerian companies that has not worked. And that has actually delayed bringing resources and monetizing these resources. Beyond that, I do not expect anything that's unexpected, because the man at the end of affair, I'm not saying that because he's here, is qualified to be there, and I think he knows his onions. It's a 360-degree action plan from what he has said. They want to conduct the bid run. They want to assist in synergizing. My only caution is the DPR should not attempt to get into the commerciality of how companies work together. I've heard him say they want to manage CHA and the rest of them. CHA is very complex and is dynamic, and there are companies that are just tagging along because they want to help other Nigerian companies, and we are one of them. There are companies that have done CHA with Amni, for example, and owing Amni today $9 million, and we have not been able to get the money back for 5 years. So when we get into the nitty-gritty of how companies interact or do business together as a regulator, it becomes messier. That is just my thought. But overall, I think the director has tried to bridge the gap between regulation and business today. And I'm happy to say that we are also bidding as Amni, and head or tail, whatever the result is, we will accept them because the process is transparent, in my opinion. I'd like to thank Nape particularly for organizing this webinar. And I'd like to thank Director CEO for accepting to throw more light into this very serious topic and serious subject. Nigerians can only benefit more. Like you say, it's a win-win situation. The steps are very clear. If you are serious business people, we should follow them to the end. And I believe strongly that it will benefit Nigerians and benefit government at the end of the day. I want to thank you, all the listeners. I've seen close to 800, 900 participants. This is great. And I think in this kind of environment where we are finding ways to connect without borders, this webinar should be organized more frequently and topical issues should be discussed. On behalf of my chairman, CEO, Chief Tunde Afolabi, who is unavoidably absent, I want to thank Nape. I'd like to thank Tony Pat and Director in particular. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Wale. Sarki, thank you so much. You've been such a wonderful, you've provided very robust intellectual insights into this conversation. You provided clarity of regulatory mechanism. You've given us some hope that this country can work. Thank you so much. At this point in time, this question, when is the next step? Because July 5th was meant to be when the DPR was to have announced those who have been qualified. So for that, we need to the facilitator of these events, who is the publicity secretary of the association. Hello. Hello. Can you hear
we can hear you. We can hear you. I think your internet is fluctuating.
The question I asked the director is, does he, and this is the last one as I hand over, when is the DPR going to publish? When is the next step? Because July 5 was meant to be the last day, the day to, publish those that have been pre-qualified. Some people in the audience want to know that particular date, and then, the Nape will take over. Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. I just think because the data is fluctuating, we can hear you.
Okay.
My director, we've unmuted you.
Okay.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay. So, if you look at the portal, we have counter. And that is why we said the whole thing is electronic. All you need to do, just visit the portal. There's a counter, for every event, there's a counter, there's a date there. And just be visiting the counter. Just log on to the marginal.dpr.gov.ng. Everything is there. The counter is there. The when next is there. And the announcement is there on per second basis. So that is it. That's the answer to it. So if there is any change, you visit the portal, you will see. If there's anything, you see there. And all the people that register, they will see it there. marginal.dpr.gov.ng. That's my answer. And just to take the opportunity to tell my friend and brother Wale Olafison, we are not going to manage CHA. We are not going to manage crude handling charges. We are going to regulate it because it's a regulatory issue. We can't allow somebody to be owing AMNI $9 million and DPR is sitting down and AMNI is struggling with that person. That cannot be accepted. So that is why we say we have to regulate it, because we know the owners of the terminals, they do some obligation and they need to do. So that's why we take it as one of the regulatory issues that we need to really look at. It's just for the benefit of all, not managing it. We are not part of it, but we will regulate it to make sure that it gives value for whoever really deserves it.
Okay, thank you so much. As I said, you've provided the regulatory clarity. You brought to this a very intense intellectual insight. Now, Mr. President Nape, my job is done, sir. Mr. Publicity Secretary, thank you so much for the honor. Cheers.
All right, thank you very much. It's good to have you. And as usual, we are not in any way surprised. Have a great day, sir.
Thank you.
My director, thank you so much. I think before you step away, because we know you are extremely busy, we're going to allow our president to directly thank you, and on behalf of the participants and Nape. Mr. President, over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
On behalf of the Nape Executive Council and the entire membership of Nape, I want to sincerely appreciate the distinguished speaker for today, my brother, my friend, and a great alumni of my alma mater, the Ahmad Bello University. I want to use this opportunity to encourage each and every one of us to continue to sustain relationships keep in touch. What we have all enjoyed today is as a result of long-standing friendship that has been sustainable. Just a phone call to the director and CEO of DPR were asked to just forward the letter. And today, thousands of participants all over the world. I could see China, the US, Europe, everywhere. Director, I want to say we are so proud of our close relationship with DPR, especially at this critical period in the history of the oil and gas and our nation in particular. You mentioned Nape as premier, industry premier. I noticed up to about 3-4 times. It's very important to us. As far back as 1990, Nape through pre-conference workshop on indigenous entrepreneurship in the upstream sector of the Nigerian industry. 2013, the Marginal field experiment of the growth of E&P independence in Nigeria. We're very proud of the contributions of Nape to the oil and gas industry today, in particular, the Marginal field operations and the achievements that have been recorded so far. We're grateful to you. We're willing to work together. We continue with series of webinars. This is the 4th in the series. We are very proud of the way you have handled your presentation and you tackled every question. It's actually beyond our expectation. I'm glad to inform you that we had over 1,000 participants, viewers all over the world listening to this program. That was an unusual audience. We are proud of you. We continue to work together with you very closely to make your job easy, being the professional body of choice in this nation and Africa for today. We appreciate you. We appreciate the participants. We appreciate your key staff, your public affairs team, our PE who put this together with our public secretary, with your entire team. We're grateful to you. Our sponsors, AMNI, they are always there for us. And I want to announce here, they might not like it. AMNI sponsor the opening ceremony of Nape 2020 as far back as last year, soon after our conference. It's unusual support. AMNI, we're very proud of you. We're very proud of the chairman and the entire team, the JMD. We're very proud to be closely associated with you. Your chairman is a distinguished fellow of this professional body and a past president. We're grateful to the staff of Nape Secretariat who have done so much in publicizing this event. We appreciate those that took time to ask questions. And most importantly, our own Toyin Akinosho, a geoscientist of world repute, combining geoscience with journalism. It's not common. We're very proud of you as a distinguished fellow of Nape. You deserve every title we can give to you. Time will not permit me. Once again, we thank the director of DPR CEO for making time to be at this event and for ability to have taken every question that has been asked. We appreciate you and we continue to work very closely with DPR throughout your regime to make your job easy.
Thank you.
Once again, every participant, without you, this program would not have been a success. We don't take anybody for granted. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and a memorable week ahead.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, my president. Thank you very much for that good notes. Please, it's important to allow everybody to understand that as we speak, we have some very important announcements that we believe will be very beneficial to you all. right? So number one, without much ado, we need to thank everybody that has joined into the conversation. Number two, also important, is that we need to let everybody know that next week we have a couple of events lined up. The first in the series is our technical